it's significant what you're saying. Ben Rhodes, you know your way around national security of the United States government. I'll just say, as a reporter, it's not every day that a former CIA director says there's enough evidence and inference to look at a conscious decision, I'm quoting Mr. Brennan here, made by some Trump officials to have it be that bad. Your view of that rather important statement?
No, it's hugely important. And look, we all saw it with our own eyes. And I used to sit in the meetings with John where he chaired those meetings. When the United States government wants to defend a particular target, they can do it. And it's done regularly. I think one of the things that's most extraordinary about this, Ari, is just talking to John here. I remember the Obama inauguration in 2009. John was working around the clock because there was a security threat against that inauguration, a terrorist threat, emanating from an overseas terrorist organization, which is what you might expect our government to have to be doing for a major event like this. Part of what was so extraordinary the other day is that 12 years later, and 4 years after Donald Trump was elected, the security threat to America's democracy came from within. It came from the President of the United States inciting this. It came from all the disinformation and conspiracy theory that has been spreading like a virus on social media platforms. It came from all the people in the Republican Party who didn't shut this down. And so you had a dynamic where the powers that be in this country were not sitting around thinking about how to secure the Capitol. The powers that be, the President of the United States and his inner circle, were thinking about how to rile up that mob as much as they possibly could, while obviously paying no attention to security. So it's an extraordinary thing, and we're going to have to investigate this as rigorously as we investigate any terrorist attack in this country. If you think about the resources that were put in to investigating major terrorist attacks against this country, that's what's required. A months-long investigation to figure out who these people were, what the planning was, what the financing was, what their ambitions were in storming that Capitol, why there were these security breaches, whether there were help from inside the Capitol, inside from members of Congress or congressional staff. These questions have to be on the table. We have to understand this catastrophic event in American history that took place. We have the resources to do that, the law enforcement resources to figure out what happened. We have to be unafraid to ask hard questions and to look in difficult places to figure out why was the United States Capitol overrun 20 years after 9/11 with all the security protocols put in place. We can't get on a plane without taking our shoes off, and these people could storm the Capitol. We need to get answers to how that could happen.
Very important, very well put. Mr. Brennan, we give you the final word. I got about 90 seconds. I want to read from Fiona Hill, who may remember. In her words, she argues, quote, if we are to restore democratic norms and make sure it doesn't happen again, something both of you are alluding to, these congressional Republicans will have to take personal responsibility for their actions in support of what she calls, quote, Trump's coup attempt. They must tell the truth about the election and what the president tried to do in January 2021, a month we're still living through. Quote, they owe it to the people they represent as well as the country they serve. Mr. Brennan, a final word.
I think what Donald Trump did last Wednesday and in the days, weeks, and months, even years before that, was certainly immoral. It certainly was unpatriotic, and I think it was criminal in the last instance because he was inciting an insurrection, which is the definition of sedition. And so again, I think this investigation has to go forward. I think it certainly meets the standards of impeachment of somebody in the Oval Office. But when I was watching that assault on our Capitol, I remember that Ben Rhodes and I were in the White House Situation Room watching the mobs in the Arab Spring descend upon the government buildings, trying to dislodge authoritarian leaders. Paradoxically, here, I think this is something that, as Ben says, needs to be thoroughly investigated and needs to be addressed so that we never have this scene again.
John Brennan and Ben Rhodes, important. Thank you both. I want to thank everyone for joining us this hour. It's a special day of coverage. We're going to take a break after that. We do have another hour. I'll be hosting special coverage. FBI Director James Comey joins me on the beat, as well as a special report on justice. That's coming up right after this.
Who is USAA made for? It's made for this guy, a veteran who honorably served. and it's made for her. She's serving now. We made it for all branches and all ranks, whether they served one tour or made a career of it. We also made USAA for military spouses and their kids. USAA is easy to work with. It can save you money on auto, home, and renter's insurance. Become a member today. Call us for a quote. USAA. What you're made of, we're made for.
When I was diagnosed with Dupuytren's contracture, I waited to get treated. Thought surgery was my only option. But then I found out about non-surgical treatments. It was a total game changer. Learn more about the condition at bagsonhand.com.
I gotta go, Mom. It's raining. Mom, gotta go potty. Mommy, I spilled.
Oh, no.
When are we gonna be there?
I'm here. You coming?
I need 1 second.
Find new adventures together in the new Santa Fe with user profiles.
I have an idea for a trade. I ain't gonna place it. Not until I'm sure. Why don't you call TD Ameritrade for a strategy gun check? You run it by an expert, you talk about the risk and potential profit and loss.
Should have used that before I hired my interior decorator.
Voila.
Just without the lactose, so you can enjoy it, even if you're sensitive. Yet some people say lactate isn't real milk. I guess all those cows must actually be big dogs. Sit. I said sit.
Hi folks, Joe Namath here, and if you're on Medicare, this is important. You're now entitled to eliminate co-pays, ag benefit that adds money back to your Social Security check every month.
I called to get dental, transportation, meals, and the gift bag benefit.
With this virus situation, I called to get everything I'm entitled to. I couldn't believe I was missing out on so many benefits.
With the uncertainty of the virus, you need to get everything you're entitled to. Millions of people have trusted the Medicare Coverage Helpline. You can too. Call now. It's free.
Call 1-800-989-3300. That's 1-800-989-3300 now.
Well,
If you miss being in the office, at least you can always watch The Office.
Let's get the party started. Not the way I taught you.
Every episode, extras and exclusives. Streaming now at peacocktv.com. I'm Ari Melber. Welcome to a special edition of The Beat tonight. We have one of the top law enforcement experts in the nation and a vital special report on justice over unity, plus breaking news right now on the new evidence the feds are using against D.C. rioters, including the infamous QAnon shaman who's in court today. Feds allege the rioters intended to capture and assassinate elected officials. As other government officials question some of the evidence for that, the feds also warning these rioters believed, quote, the insurrection is still in progress, which is why D.C. is in a total lockdown tonight, a Baghdad-style green zone guarded by over 20,000